This is the most expensive cereal I have ever seen. I picked up Morning Summit at Costco for $13.50. One time I got it on sale for $10.50, and it's still making it one of the more expensive breakfast cereals on the market. For those that don't know Morning Summit, it's a flake cereal with some oats, dried fruit, pumpkin seeds, and almonds. Lots of almonds. According to the box, almonds are the #1 ingredient. There's also a touch of honey, maple, vanilla, and coconut oil. It tastes pretty great, and people like its simple ingredient list. It's about 35 cents an ounce, and it comes in a 38-ounce box, an over 2-pound whopping box. To put that in perspective, some no-name brand cereals can be as low as 15 cents an ounce, while name brand cereals can range anywhere from 20 to 34 cents an ounce, depending on the box size. For example, a family-sized box of Frosted Flakes is 24 cents an ounce, Cinnamon Toast Crunch is 26 cents an ounce, and Honey Bunches of Oats is 32 cents an ounce. You get the idea. So if you really look at it like that, it kind of shows you that Morning Summit really isn't that crazy expensive, but I gotta admit, it just feels expensive. And with prices seeming so crazy these days with inflation, or more accurately, soaring corporate profits, I wanted to see if I could make something similar at home for less, especially since my kids have been devouring this cereal every day since I bought it. So here's how I did it. To figure out how this cereal breaks down, I took 3 50-gram samples from the box and separated it as best possible into the 4 main components: almonds, cranberries and cherries, pumpkin seeds, and flakes, which also had some oats attached. I averaged out the samples, and here's what I got. 66 flakes and oats, 15% almonds, 14% cranberries and cherries, 5% pumpkin seeds, with 1% maple flavor, honey, and vanilla. Oh, and a lot of sugar, about 250 grams per box or 22 grams per serving. And here's something you should know. I'm not concerned about sugar as much as calories. It's important not to eat too much, but let's not demonize it. My main concern is getting something that tastes pretty close to Summit, but at a cheaper price. Anything else is just a bonus. Now, side note, when people say they make things cheaper than store-bought, they rarely mention the actual cost. There's a lot of videos showing $15 sandwiches made for $2. Of course, making something at home is cheaper. You're not paying for overhead or employees or profit. So for transparency, here's what I spent. I got a lot of ingredients at the bulk food store, some on sale, and I already had some things on hand, which were more expensive since I bought the whole package. Plus, with sugar and honey, vanilla, and maple syrup, which those last 3 ingredients are pretty pricey. So I'm gonna just pretend you all have those as staples, but you can see how trying to make your own can get expensive. Maybe $13.50 doesn't seem so bad. Let me show you how I made my mix. To start, I'm letting you know that I'm using Honey Bunches of Oats with almonds, and I found this maple flavored Raisin Bran both on sale for $3 each. Don't worry, I'm gonna remove the raisins, and since the Honey Bunches already has almonds, I'm going to reduce the amount by a little because of that. So 38 ounces is about 1,077 grams. Let's bring up those ratios. I'm gonna start off with a little less than 15% of almonds because of the cereal, so I'm putting 120 grams of whole and sliced almonds. Then 14% is 150 grams of dried cherries and cranberries, 70 grams each. And then 5% or 53 grams of pumpkin seeds. Now, I'm just gonna drizzle a little maple syrup and vanilla and mix it around to coat everything a bit. Then I'm gonna add 66% or 710 grams of flakes and oats. I add all the Honey Bunches and I get as much Raisin Bran flakes as possible. I grossly underestimated how many raisins there are in a box. I'm honestly impressed by the raisin count of Raisin Bran. Well played. That took longer than anticipated, and I also noticed that I needed to get 1,077 grams, so I added about 90 grams of store-bought granola and another 50 grams of whole almonds, since Honey Bunches didn't have as many almonds as I thought. Not cool, Honey Bunches. Not cool. And now for the side-by-side taste test. First, I'm gonna take a bite of Morning Summit. It's an excellent cereal. The flakes are toasted, yummy. A whole almond, all right. And pumpkin seeds. Now this Frankenstein bad boy, Honey Bunches of Oats, and just the flakes from a maple Raisin Bran. That was nuts, by the way. This has got to be some of the dumbest things I've done, all in the name of science, or more likely saving a few bucks. Who knows? All right. Close, not that close though. I think what ruins it are the almonds here are coated and toasted, and it's all perfectly aligned. I threw in some whole almonds that were, could have been toasted. There's definitely more stuff. The real taste test would be for my kids to try this and see what they think.
We like it, but it doesn't taste like Morning Summit.
Is it close to Morning Summit?
Yeah, but when you crunch into these thingamajiggies, they don't taste like Morning Summit.
Right, yeah.
When you taste them, when they're actually in Morning Summit.
Yeah, Daddy used a different cereal. So the question is do you think this is a good idea to do again?
Yes. If you don't want to spend $14-15.
Okay.
Get this cereal in the store.
Okay. I mean, there you have it, right there. It's a hit, and my son is right. Do I really want to spend $14-15 on Morning Summit? My homemade version gets about 70 or 80% there. Toasting the almonds and adding more maple syrup and sugar might get it a little closer, but the extra effort and cost aren't worth it. After totaling all the ingredients I used, it comes to $12.25, which honestly doesn't sound great at first. I was sure it would be cheaper. I don't have employees, I have no overhead, and I don't want to make a profit. So when I went to fill up my remix into the box, I realized I had twice as much cereal. I honestly forgot to account for weight versus volume. See, Morning Summit brags about almonds being their first ingredient, so it weighs more, but there's less cereal. Flakes are super light. Plus, they never fill the box up to the top, and that brings the cost down somewhere closer to $6-7. Not bad savings for an epic cereal. Not only that, but I calculated the calories, which came in at 170 calories per 55-gram serving versus Morning Summit's 280 calories. And I think my cereal has less sugar, and it probably helped that I didn't include all those raisins. Now, I know I could play around with the numbers to put less whole almonds or granola and bring it down, a little bit more. But more importantly, while I did like the maple bran flakes, I think I'll just use 2 boxes of Honey Bunches of Oats to save some time. I think one of the main takeaways is that making something at home that's close enough, in this case, is worth it. It turned out pretty well, and going to a bulk food store helps getting exactly what you need and not more. I think finding a cereal that you like and just adding a little more fun things like cranberries, sliced almonds, or dried cherries gets you a more delicious and a slightly more nutritious breakfast. One of the reasons I wanted to try this is because with my kids, I do mix up their cereal. I mix up their Fruit Loops, Cheerios, and a fiber-rich cereal to give it a little more balance. And I think making your own mix is always a great option. And of course, if you want to treat yourself, you can always get some real Morning Summit. As for me, I'm just going to keep this box and make my own. Thanks for watching. And if you ever remixed a cereal or a breakfast food, let me know in the comments. And I'll see you in the next one.